Thank you for joining us for our BNI San Diego podcast. My name is Ed Wilson. I am the host of our BNI San Diego podcast and the executive director for BNI San Diego. Thank you for joining us today. As you can tell, seated across from me is one of our longtime seasoned, one of my cohorts, longtime guest, family member, friend, colleague, mentor. What else?
I don't know. It sounds like my name's in too many boxes, honestly.
A lot of boxes there.
Podcast doer guy.
Andy Cruz is his name.
What's up, Ed?
Andy, thank you for joining me again.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Well, thanks for coming back to the studio.
You know, it's always good to be in our BNI San Diego studio. So, and it's actually hosted by Andy Cruz and Cruz Productions.
Yeah,
so thank you for having us.
This has been really fun for us. It's been awesome to be able to have this kind of as like a stable part of what we do as far as our workflow and our month. But also, you know, it's really good that the type of education we're teaching people here when we're doing this is also useful in the business. So.
Oh my gosh. It goes both, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, you get a lot from it. I mean, it's kind of runs that same parallel with BNI, right? There's things you learn in BNI that then you translate into business. And if you put it into action in BNI and you see it work, and you put it into action in your business and you see it work, you're like, oh, look at how those things work together.
And that's when you're in your sweet spot, when everything's working in tandem together.
Well, I think it's where you can be in your sweet spot, but sometimes we don't like stay there, or we fail to get into it. And then we wonder, like at the end of the year, you look back and like, what happened? How come this didn't occur? Or how come this goal wasn't met or whatever? And then you have to kind of like do some damage assessment and figure out, like survey what happened.
So would you say that, you know, it's a word that Dr. Ivan Meister uses all the time. The fundamentals are important.
Yeah.
Are the fundamentals important?
Well, yes, they are. They are important. So yeah, I think about the term he says all the time is the fun is in the fundamentals.
Yes.
And you're like, wow, fundamentals don't sound fun. Like mashing out reps at the gym don't sound fun, but I really like the results. Like, so when it's like one of those things where we know that when we do the work and it's going to lead us on the path towards having the achievement or the goal or the success, we may not like the work, but we're going to like the outcome. And unfortunately, a lot of people want the outcome without the work, and that's then becoming the issue, right?
So that just reminded me, is Atomic Habits back here?
It is. Well, I don't know if it might be up on my desk.
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned. I was just talking about that the other day with somebody for this very reason.
I just finished reading it again for the fourth time.
Oh, wow.
And because I'm always getting something new out of it. I'm always learning something new. And it's those little habits, but it's not just about the little habits. It's the little habits combined with other little habits.
Well, yeah, you're saying
Stacking.
the word combined. A book I was literally just started reading was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And now this one had been recommended to me for a long time. I was like, okay, got to read it. But Atomic Habits, there's already some similarities I'm noticing between the two theories. But again, it's put into practice. It's the things you put into practice, and back to another Ivan Meister thing, what gets measured gets done.
Yes.
So it's like, if you're going to measure things, or you want something to happen or occur in your life, personally, business, or BNI, you have to measure it, you have to commit to it, you have to be honest in your assessment of what's working and what's not working, and then make adjustments and changes along the way. Most people don't want to even be honest at the beginning of what is the problem to then sort out what the problem is that's ailing them or plaguing them. So like, you have to be, like, I'll say fundamentally sound before you can even be fundamentally honest about what your status is in whatever stage of achievement you're trying to accomplish.
Well, and even to go back a step further, you also have to have that destination in mind, right? Stephen Covey talks about start with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. What's the goal? Why are we here? Why are you in BNI, right? Is it referrals only? Is it to build relationships? Is it because what else am I going to do on a Wednesday morning? I mean, why are you here? That's where we start, right? What's your objective? And then we work it backwards. And we're now starting the end of the year. We're at the beginning of the third quarter of 2025. Wasn't it just yesterday that it was Y2K?
It was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what has been different about 2025 that has felt like this year has been faster than the previous ones.
Holy moly.
And I feel like I say that every year, but like there's something different. And I think I could probably put my finger on a couple of those things, but it just has seemed like this year's flown by. And now we kind of find ourselves staring down the fall and then the upcoming winter of 2025. And it's like, okay, I am now talking to my chapter. I'm talking to myself about where am I at in my business goals? Where am I at in my BNI goals? Because I also set out, well, what do I want to give in BNI this year as a chapter member? And what do I want to receive as a chapter member? Referrals wise, closed business wise, all those aspects. And those, again, those are measurables and they're fundamentals.
Yeah.
And they play a part in my business. So it's like multiple things happening at once, right? I'm communicating to those of you who may not be doing this, hey, it's important to do this and align your BNI goals with your business goals. Or if you have business goals first, figure out what percentage of those goals can be met by your BNI membership. By doing the fundamentals really well and then measuring the results of those.
You know, one of my mentors, Norm Dominguez, who was the BNI CEO for 17 plus years. And Norm always talks about, because as one of my mentors, he's always asking me, you know, what we've got coming up, looking back, how are we doing? And he had shared with me a long time ago, he said, Ed, when you get into the third quarter, your year is pretty much done, right? The things that you've done before are in motion that are going to push you through to the end of the year. And there are things that you can do that can still impact how it ends. And that's what I want to talk about today. Again, all those things that we've done in those first three quarters are, if we stop today, all those things that we did in the first three quarters are going to push us through the end of the year. Knowing that can be exciting for some, that can be like worrisome for some. What can we do right now as we begin the third quarter, the fundamentals of BNI that we talked about? What can we do that can impact, even in small ripples, the end of our year?
So I'm going to say these things in I'll say in the most like logical succession possible. Is first of all, the things you've done in the first three quarters may actually not carry you through the fourth.
Oh,
like be honest about that first. Like you talk about dropping a rock in a pond and there's a ripple. Well, if you haven't even dropped the rock yet, then you need to do that because nothing's going to happen until after that happens. So let's start there. Like, and I'm just being super practical because like the more clearly I can just state it black and white for people, hopefully it cuts through. So if you have not even done the right actions in your membership in the first three quarters of the year, start there. Figure out, go to the Power of One report and look at, have I invited visitors? Have I been giving referrals? Have I been...
In other words, I need to figure out, where am I currently?
Take personal inventory of what you have done action-wise inside BNI, and then look at the commensurate result that should have happened because of said actions. It will reveal whether your actions had impact or none at all, and then you can determine what they can be moving forward. So I'm saying do a damage assessment in the first three quarters of the year. You have the fourth quarter to either catch up or finish strong or prepare for 2026. And this is an important aspect that most people miss. You're either going to use the time to catch up, finish strong, or prepare. Now, for me, by the time October 1st hits, I'm already working on 2026. Yeah. I have, for the last, I don't know, maybe it's probably been 8 years now. But yeah, since 2018. Well, it'll be my 8th year this year doing that. Is my fourth quarter of any year is my first quarter of the next one.
Oh, wow.
So I follow the 12-week year model where in quarter four of every year, I just start putting the hammer down. And I'm like, okay, what things operationally, systemically, infrastructure need to be addressed, fixed, modified, or adjusted, so that way when I start January 1 of 2026, I'm already working on what's set before me versus thinking
getting
about
ready
it,
to get ready,
dwelling, maybe going to start by February or March. It's already too late, because if you're in this space and let's say we're business competitors, I'm already a quarter ahead of you. And it's not because I'm trying to kick your butt up and down the road, but for myself, I need to be able to hit the ground running January 1st. Let's be honest, January 2nd. I need to be ready January 2nd, not later on in the year. So in BNI, if you have not yet at all this year looked at the Power of One report to see where you're at and how you got there, do that first.
So let's break that down just a little bit. We still have, I'm sure, there are members, and we've got new members coming in daily who we say the Power of One report and they're like, what the heck is that? We have seasoned members that I'm sure are saying, what the heck is that?
Wah, wah.
Right? What's the point? Why is the Power of One, or the old term traffic lights, why is the Power of One important to a BNI member?
There's a couple of things that come to mind first right away. So if you're a new member and you did not know this, BNI just celebrated its 40th year in 2025.
And we're coming up on our 40. Yeah.
The reason that that's important is because over 40 years, there's some things that have just figured out to be true because they're true because they're true. So if they've made their way to a report that we use every single month in the meeting and every month thereafter, and we say, hey, it's true that giving referrals leads to closed business. It's true that doing one-to-ones leads to referrals. It's true that being in attendance helps you increase your visibility, your credibility, and your profitability. If it's true that inviting visitors leads to the growth of the just accept that those things are true.
True, yeah.
We don't need to have a long, drawn-out conversation about me validating that it's true for you. We're 40 years deep into this thing. They're true. So that being true, them making their way onto the old member traffic light report, which now we call the power of one. These are the success metrics that have proven time and time again, no matter what market, including 2008, including 2020, including all the way back in the 80s, savings and loan crisis, if you want to go, all the way back to the beginning of BNI. These are interpersonal, behavioral, and business practices that work. And that's why it's important that you look at it.
And what are those?
So first thing, number one, you have to attend every single week. Yep. Or that's the goal, is attend every week.
Attendance,
Show up every week. Give a referral every single week. You want to do a one-to-one every week. You want to do a CEU or a chapter education unit every week. And you want to bring one visitor every month. Those are your metrics.
And it's as simple as that.
Well, it sounds like a lot, but here's the thing. It's not a lot go back to what I said a couple minutes ago. When you have determined that BNI is a certain percentage of your sales goal during the year, there are sales activities that you should be doing outside of BNI as well. If you're not meeting one-to-one with people or making follow-up phone calls or text messages or DMs in social media, however you do it, then how is that working or not working towards the goal you have in mind, right? If you're not inviting people into your sphere of life and business and influence or whatever that might look like in physical space or even in digital space, if you're not inviting new people into it, how's that going to translate towards achieving your goal? You can go piece by piece by piece through this. We don't need to, because the point is there. The point is that these things fundamentally inside BNI and as a part of what your overall business goal are can happen more adequately or more accurately if you are measuring them and you're actually conducting yourself in a manner that's, I'll say, proactive than reactive.
Well, I don't know how many times I've had a conversation with a new member or even a seasoned member and asked, I love to hear people's goals. What's your goal for the year? How much do you want to, what do you want to be at the end of the year? And let's say that it's $100,000. And then I asked the question, okay, how much of that $100,000 do you want to come from BNI? And they go, I didn't think about that.
Blank stare.
Right? Is it an important thing to know or to have a goal for your time in BNI? Or is BNI just something I do? Or is it a part of my marketing plan? Or is it my marketing plan?
Well, and I'm not surprised that if you get a variety of answers, it would not surprise me if you regularly get a variety of answers, because we have like a variety of memberships.
Absolutely, yeah.
There are some members that they are the owner and the operator, and what they do in BNI matters a lot more.
Yes.
To someone else. There's people who are sales reps for other organizations, and there's multiple sales reps inside BNI doing the same thing, but represented in different parts of the county. And then you have people who they're the employee of the company, and they're not even in a sales role, but they're in a visibility role for the business, and they have to be at BNI, but they have a boss or a supervisor. And none of those roles should dictate how important you take the fundamentals. And that's a hard truth to say, but I'm saying it because I want you to hear it with your head and your heart, that whatever you are going to expect out of BNI, you need to put into BNI first. And people miss this all the time. Hold on, it's cliche. Oh, what you put into something, what you get out of it. Like we say it all the time, but it is 100% true in BNI, especially with the giver's gain attitude and philosophy, and especially when what you do will increase or decrease your credibility every single week, every single one-to-one, every single referral, and everything that we measure, it's going to reflect that.
People are always watching.
Well, they are, especially right now because this is all being filmed.
But in reality, though, people are always, whether you believe it or not, people watch how you do things.
Well, yeah, we notice stuff. Like,
right?
I can't pretend like I notice stuff about other people and then they're just oblivious to whether I do things right or wrong. No, I'm self-aware of that. I have to be self-aware that people are going to see what I'm doing, how I'm acting, how I'm behaving, what I'm saying, and go, this is either helping or hurting. So even right now.
So you have to be self-aware. There are people I'm learning that are not self-aware.
Right.
That don't realize. I was just having a conversation with someone who, when he's working with a new client, he purposefully takes them out to lunch or out to dinner. Do you know why?
To watch how they treat the staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. Right? Because that's going to tell you how they're going to, if it's a customer you're looking for, that's going to tell a lot of your interaction. If it's someone you're looking to hire, that's going to be how they treat people. You know, people are always watching, whether it's in your chapter or outside of your chapter, whether it's social media or not social media, people are always watching, which will impact how your referrals go.
I had someone tell me, like, I'm just kind of the way I am, and I don't really care about, needing to change that or whatever. And I said, that's fine. Then you can't also then come back to me and complain about the outcomes if they're not what you want. Like, pick one. You can't have both. You can't be a jerk and a class A-hole and then be like, oh, I expect the world to be given to me. Like, that's not going to work out. That's not going to happen. And definitely in the subset of the BNI philosophy, givers gain, that ain't going to work for you, dude. So, pick one. You can't have that outcome that you're hoping for and also be that way, or even, I'll say, demonstrate a lack of commitment to the group or a lack of a commitment to the process. Because, again, like, you're demonstrating to me what your behavior is, your atomic habits or your compound effect in your life and your business. You're showing me that regularly in the membership. And you're showing me that whether you show up early to the meeting or not. Yeah. You're showing me that if you're doing open networking or not. You're showing me that if you're like having a side conversation while I'm trying to lead the meeting that our visitors are the first time seeing for the first time. So if that's all occurring and I'm observing these things happening in the meeting and in your behavior as a member, what am I to assume when I have a really important referral to give you? Yep. That's going to help change your, let's say, goal being met financially for your business. But then I have to consider all these potential reasons why I may not give it because of observed behavior.
Let's talk about, one of the very first things on the Power of One is showing up, right? Why is it important for them to show up? I paid my dues. Earlier we were, behind the scenes, we were talking about the how the gym membership and BNI are very, you can take it kind of cross on both. Why is it important to not just pay your dues? Why do I need to show up every week? Why can't I show up every other week? Why is accountability important? Why do I need, why are those things important?
So I have my own answer. It's important for me because that is where I know my next opportunity can come from. Easier than knocking on a cold door, picking up a 10-pound phone, blasting an ad on Instagram that says, hey, we do podcast shows. Like, those are fine if those are your methods. BNI is my method, so I have to be there. And we use the adage like, oh, you have a gym membership and you don't go. Okay, well, you have the membership but you don't attend the gym. Don't expect the muscles, right? Funny side note, I heard this in a sales training once. They're saying, this guy who had made plenty of money for himself, and he was like, my friends, when we were younger, they used to say, hey, bro, we don't see you at the club. He goes, that's funny. I don't see you at the bank. And I was thinking to myself, that's funny. It's a funny clapback, but it's also a really good point. And Ivan made this point during training one time, and he said, it's never too early to collect a paycheck. Never too early in the morning to collect a paycheck. So if the meeting starts at 7, open network starts at 6:45, I'll be there at 6:45. I don't know. I've had my biggest business referral ever because of BNI. I've had more opportunities in BNI than I've had outside BNI. And so it's a little bit of a harder question for me to answer honestly for people who are more laissez-faire about it than I am, because it's a dedicated commitment I made that I have to show up and show everyone else I'm going to show up when I'm expected to show up. It's as simple as that. But for some people, they act like that's a little complicated. And it doesn't need to be. But being there demonstrates that you're going to show up when you're expected to be showing up. And the only chance that you're going to get to prove that I don't ever have to think about whether you're going to show up is by being there all the time.
The proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
So the first and the cornerstone of our power of one is showing up.
Yep.
And everything from beyond that.
Well, look, people have stories all day long about, oh, I came to the meeting and a sub had a referral for me. A visitor had a referral for me. Or maybe even I had something for one of those people that from a giver's perspective, we don't encourage people to come just for that reason and visit and try to get something. But sometimes that happens. We've had unicorn people that walk in and they go, oh, I do like dementia care specifically. And then someone who does reverse mortgage is like, I actually have a dementia care client right now, and I don't know who to send them to. There's odd situations that just happen like that. We would love to know that every visitor who comes to a meeting has already previously signed up online. But that's not always the case. And sometimes there's walk-ins, and then there's an opportunity right in front of you.
Well, let's look at it from the flip side of that. Let's look at it from the other members, not from your vantage point, but from the vantage point of the other members in the room. When you join or become part of a chapter and you pay your dues and you show up weekly, your assumption is that when I'm gonna listen to your presentation when you show up, and my assumption is that when I show up and do my presentation, that there's going to be someone on the other side watching.
Yeah. I think that part of that is, again, this goes to like the type of role the person has at the company aligned with the membership that they have in BNI. Because sometimes, again, it's my job. I have to go to this BNI. I say I have to, not I get to.
Yeah.
I think there's some of that. And maybe that's the adjustment you have to make at the end of the year. Maybe that is the one thing that's kind of off paper and this just came to me. So maybe this is one of those things off paper where it's not measured in the power of one. And instead of saying I have to go to BNI, say I get to go to BNI today. Because there's an element of that. And I'll say this as a business owner. If your role at my company is to represent the business in a sales capacity at this networking meeting, then I'm paying you to be there, number one. Number two, that reverse secures your future employment by the opportunities that come from it. It backfills the cost of me paying your membership, the cost of paying the quarterly dues or the meeting room fees that exist in whatever place you're at, and my paying you the salary to go and do that because you're on paid time. So you getting the sales reinforces that you're going to continue being here. It's like an ecosystem in a life cycle.
Yeah, it's not just a free lunch. Oh,
right.
I get to leave the office for an hour and a half every week to go and get a free lunch.
Yeah, and again, I know there have been times where that's just kind of the attitude, but maybe this is that point in the year where that switch flips, and you go, you know what? I get to go to BNI. I'm going to make the most out of BNI, and I'm going to make these next 3 months, 4 months, the best months of the year, and then also the pivot point and the turning point into the brand new year where you get a whole calendar year to make right decisions inside BNI as a member versus playing catch up in quarter four, barely getting across the finish line. Make this the time where you're actually solidly completing those BNI goals and then preparing for the next year.
Well, and as you know, our conversation is about the last quarter, right? And it's not just about, you know, we've talked about this before. I love the imagery of, you know, the marathoner that's running the marathon. They don't just like they're running and oh, there's the tape and I'm just going to run up and touch it and I won. What do?
To run through the tape.
You run through the tape.
But you've seen the fail videos where someone cruises to the tape and they get passed in the last step, not the last 10, like the last step, because you just take your foot off the gas long enough. Now, people are going to confuse this and go, oh, hustle culture is bad for, and I don't think you should be working 24/7. That's not healthy for you. That's actually bad culture. And the idea of hustle culture is under a lot of duress right now, and I think for a good cause. What Ed is saying is you shouldn't be marathoning every single day. It's that your year is a marathon.
Correct.
So you run the entire year as a marathon. Not every day I run a marathon. Correct. And I think that we have to unhook some of that as business people. And even in social space with podcasts and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and TikTok, there is an oversaturation of, well, just work harder, just work longer, just do more than the next guy. Sometimes it's the effectiveness of the activity you're doing, not the volume of the activities you're doing, that make all the difference.
This little book right here.
10x is easier than 2x. You got that for me. This is actually the one you gifted me.
and that's exactly what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You can either work hard. There's only so much more time you can put into something,
Right.
so much more effort.
Right.
How do you compound, going back to the compound effect, to get the 10x results?
Yeah. I think I believe that for me, what it's become is it's a combination of choices and systems. So just look at this room. Does this room promote the efficiency and effectiveness to allow it to be turnkey so that when you're done, you just walk out the door and then
Absolutely.
we go to work?
Yep.
We fostered and curated the condition of the physical space to generate the outcome that makes us be able to do this 30 to 40 times a month. And so we'll produce 30 to 40 shows in a 4-week month, not in working 30 or 31 days. We're still working 20 days like everyone else is. But because we've optimized our attitude and our skill set and our space, we can get more out of our time by measuring what we can do and how much time, how much space without sacrificing standard, and deliver for everyone routinely.
Well, and that's the difference between a spend mentality and an investment mentality. Right? If I'm going to just go spend my time doing something, I'm going to go do BNI, I'm going to go do the gym, whatever, that's a spend mentality versus I'm going to go in and give it my all and pour into these people. And there's an investment, there's a return on your investment that we're looking for. And as we enter right now into the third quarter and we finish the year, fourth quarter, that's right, fourth quarter. Holy moly. See, that's where it just goes by like that.
Yeah.
As we enter the fourth quarter,
the fourth quarter, just in one conversation. 3 months have passed.
As we go from the third quarter to the fourth quarter, we go through and we're going strong.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of those things as BNI members that I can do to finish strong in the year?
So let's end with this because there's some simple things you can do. So if you're facing down a fourth quarter where you have not achieved the things inside BNI that you want, go identify what they are, whether it's lack of one-to-ones, it's lack of referrals, given or received, and then go to the educational epicenter of that thing. You can look at the BNI San Diego podcast. You can look at the BNI podcast with Dr. Meisner. There's hundreds of episodes about every topic. Whether it's attendance, referrals, one-to-one, CEUs, visitors, just go find it. There's plenty of material to learn from and then apply that. That's part A. Part B, if there is someone in your chapter that is killing it in an area where you are weak, ask them for help. Because of the giver's gain mentality and commitment we have for one another, they should be willing to help you. And if they're slaying it in an area that you are weak in, ask them for help and guidance and let them take you in the direction you want to go. That's the other part. The last thing is at the end, look back and reflect. So whether it's been 3 months of doing fundamentals correctly or 8 weeks, no matter what part of the time of quarter four you find yourself watching this episode, just reflect back at the end and go, okay, what can I carry with me into the new year? And then apply that stuff that's working into the entire calendar year versus just a quarter.
Well, and that's the beauty of it's almost like a start over or a do-over every year, right? We get to take the things that propelled us forward and we get to leave the things that didn't, that drug us down.
Yeah. And be careful with the New Year's resolution part of this.
Yep.
Because we fail at these things when it comes to health decisions, when it comes to eating habits, when it comes to business goals. We get right out the gate. The first week is great. The second week gets harder, and the third week we're done. And then we've got 49 weeks left in the year. So what I mean is every week, just make progressive steps towards the thing you're looking to advance.
Those small,
and make better. It's
tiny habits.
It's the atomic habits. It's the compounding of those things over the course of time that generate the desired results.
Yeah.
Don't rush the process.
And I think one of the key things that you said is be willing to ask for help. You know, as entrepreneurs, it is easy to have the I know it all mentality. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm here because I know everything, right? Where when you come in from a standpoint of humility and look at something and go, I can always learn. I can always learn from any given situation, whether the book, I love I'm always referring back to books. One of my favorite books of all time is The Obstacle is the Way, right? Sometimes people hit an obstacle and they don't know what to do it, and they go, okay, you know what? I hit it, so I'm going to go home. I don't know what else to do. But what's the opportunity? What can I learn in that moment? So you didn't hit your goals the first 3 quarters. What can I learn to make sure that my fourth quarter is effective? Which in turn is going to impact the first quarter of the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the compound effect, right? Is that every quarter, every month will impact the next one, good or bad, on depending on what you did with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's the same thing with the power of one in our chapter, and pouring into people and showing up and Giver's Gate. All of these things are compounding your investment, good or bad. You get to decide which are you pouring into my growth bank, or my depletion? I guess, is that a bank?
Yeah. 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 Is it creating energy, or is it creating exhaustion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we prepare to end our podcast together, what's something we want to leave those individuals that may be struggling right now? Like they did look back and they go, I'm nowhere near where I needed to be.
This is super simple, and it's simple, but I'd like to say it's profound as well, is don't let where you're at right now define where you're going. Don't let where you're at right now define where you're going. If you feel like you're falling behind from where you need to be, don't let that define that you have to just stay that way. Like, think about the marathon, like you were saying a minute ago. Let's say at mile 10, you're gassed out. It's not feeling right. Oh, I got 16.2 miles left to go. Don't let that measurement at mile 10 determine where you're going by mile 26.2.
I heard that, just reminded me. I heard a quote recently, and for me, it's very profound. You can't dig a new hole by digging the same hole deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. You've got to do in order to, you've got to realize, okay, that's not getting me where I want to go.
Hey, you dig a hole that big, man, start punching out some stairs and get out of that thing.
Hopefully there's a spot to make some stairs, or hopefully you've got another BNI member that's up at the top willing, going, you know what, let me help you out of that.
Help you out of that. Yep.
Right. Andy, it's always a pleasure. So much fun.
Well, and I appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming here to do all this here. I've really enjoyed all our time doing this. Cruz production headquarters, right? Yeah, this is awesome. It's always fun for me because I get to sit and listen to all these. So I'm like constantly in CEU land, listening to all the podcasts and producing them with you.
Is that where all those CEUs are coming from?
No, it's actually, you know what? It's funny. Yeah. Oh, I've listened to it 3 times. It's not 3. That's not 3 CEUs. Don't you go cutting corners on us now. But no, thank you for your commitment to operating this at a standard that is going to set the pace for other regions and other territories in BNI. Because I think that the way that business is trending for education, I think that this is the way that we're going to be able to reach way more people outside our territory and help them apply these same standards in their life. It'll help them like master those things and the fundamentals to help make a real big impact. And
Andy, for us on the selfish side, to grow we're coming up to, or actually we just surpassed the 100 episode mark. What is something that our listeners can help us with, the BNI San Diego podcast, to further amplify the podcast?
It's actually 2 really simple things. It's being eyes and ears. So if you have eyes and ears at your chapter meeting, at your one-to-one, when you're meeting and interacting with other chapter members, and you hear a great story of someone's got an amazing BNI story, tell us about that so we can feature that.
Podcast with an S at the end, podcast at BNISD.com.
Yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube, that'll be in the description box below. Perfect. And you need to let us know about things that we're not going to hear about, because we're not at every meeting, because we're not at every one-to-one, and now we have hundreds and hundreds of members. So there's so many different experiences that are occurring that are wonderful that we could be demonstrating and displaying and talking about here. And we want to do that in the next iteration of the podcast series with BNI San Diego too.
What about sharing it? What about if to our listeners, if you hear a podcast that you like, share it with people. Share it with your fellow BNI members.
Look, one of the ways that you can help your chapter, if they are, let's say, a little shy on a specific category of the power of one, find a podcast in our series that talks about inviting visitors or doing CEUs even, and send it to your chapter roster as an email. Say, hey, watch the BNI San Diego podcast about whatever topic it is, and then have them watch it, let the CEUs be recorded, and then, continue fostering that educational development.
Does ratings help shows at all? BNI?
Only when they're 4 and 5s. If they're 0s, 1s, 2s, and 3s, just email us and tell us what the problem is. That's way more effective.
So we're looking for those 4s and 5s, in other words, right?
Yeah, 5s and 5s are both fine. Yeah, 4s, maybe just tell us what's lacking to get the 5. That's still curious. I'd still be curious about that.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you for our listeners. We always appreciate you joining us each and every week. And again, we want to continue to add value. So share with us what you want to listen. What you want to listen? What you want to hear, what you want to listen about, what you want to learn. And we want to hear those stories. Make sure podcasts with an S at the end at bnisd.com. That will get to our team so that we can actually create an episode or maybe even invite you on to be able to film that episode with us. I hope you have a great, successful end of your year. Remember, you run through the tape, not to the tape. Always run through. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you back here next week. And Andy, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for being here.
This episode of the BNI San Diego podcast has been brought to you by Cruz Productions, a San Diego-based video production company and proud BNI member. You can find us at the intersection where business and creativity meet, or online at cruzproductionsinc.com.